Take 3. Welcome. My name is Svannah, and I am so glad that you're here. This is going to be my little crafty recap for March. It is currently April 3rd, 2026 at about 4:30 in the afternoon. I don't typically record at this time of the day, but there's still sunlight and I don't want to film on the weekend. I just want to have a nice chill weekend. It has been a busy work week. Yes, a busy work week, plus I did not get to craft a lot this week just because of unfortunate pain in my hand. But the pain is now gone, so I can get back to fully knitting. So let's go ahead and dive into that little bit real quick. This past week, I have experienced pain in just this finger from this knuckle to this knuckle. And I thought it was so odd because when I knit, this is kind of just gripping the fabric. Here's a sneak peek. So I hold my needles and I knit like this. So this just holds it. And I'm like, what the heck? But I noticed that it would be more aggravated, like more painful while I was knitting. And then it got to the point where it was still hurting even when I was not knitting. So I took like 2 full days of not crafting, and man, that drove me bonkers, but I made it through. I also ordered myself some compression gloves just in case, to help. I can't knit with these on. It's just way too awkward. But I think if I start to feel pain, then maybe I can just wear these while I'm taking a break, maybe. I don't know. I'm curious as to why there was pain only right there. I have a theory of which project possibly aggravated my hand, because I don't feel like I was knitting absolutely ham, but there was one project that I will show that for some reason I was finding myself tensioning my knitting incredibly tight. I don't know. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and dive in, and I'll show you everything I have worked on in the month, which was a lot. I feel like I worked on a lot of things, but unfortunately did not accumulate a lot of progress on these things. So we'll start with the one and only finish I have for the month. So I was knitting on this project early in March, a week before St. Patrick's Day, and my coworker was like, "Oh, are you gonna have that finished for St. Patrick's Day so you can wear it?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, why did you tell me that? Now I feel like I have to." And because I was still on the body, pretty close to the ribbing, and all I had were sleeves left. So I was like looking at the calendar, and I'm like, okay, I got the 2 days for the weekend. I got a Monday, and I have Friday, and I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday when this was first happened. So I'm like, I have about 4 days to have this finished. I'm like, I think I could. And I did. And I worked so hard. Like, I really pushed myself. Every minute that I had to knit, I knit on this thing. And I got it finished Monday night at about 8 in the evening. So I had to steam block it only to be able to wear it the next day. So it wasn't like a fully well finished piece, but I was able to wear it on St. Patrick's Day, which I was quite happy about. After such, I did block it, but that is the pattern. The sweater, the pattern I'm talking about is the Coffee Run sweater by Veronika. Oh, and it's got wrinkles. It's been folded up and put in my cabinet over here since I finished blocking it, but I guess it got some wrinkles. And I also embroidered some shamrocks on there. Some little clovers just to spruce it up a little. I thought that was super cute. I'll be honest, I'll probably take these out at some point, but I thought they were so cute. Anyways, Coffee Run sweater by Veronika. I used, what is this yarn called? This is Rowan's Creative Focus Worsted. Yes, Creative Focus Worsted. It is a discontinued yarn. The colorway was called Basil. I was gifted 5 skeins of this, and then I bought, oh my gosh, I think I sourced Ravelry like crazy and found somebody who would sell me. They weren't selling it, but I asked kindly if they would sell it. I think it was 3 more balls, and it looks like I have 2.5 left over. So it took me about 6 balls of that yarn to knit this up. It is very nice, very warm. I am curious about the longevity of this yarn because it is pretty much a loosely spun 1-ply. So I have a feeling it will pill. I think it's an alpaca. You know what? I probably have a tag here that I can look up this information. Yes. Sorry about that. So, Rowan Creative Focus Worsted. The colorway is called SH01350, but when you look that up, it says basil. This is, 75% wool, 25% alpaca. And again, it's like a loosely spun 1-ply. So I have a feeling it will probably pill a bit. So details about the coffee run by Kuta Vakika. It is in her Knits to Wear book. If you are interested, it has twisted rib raglan increases, and the twisted rib continues under the armpit all the way down. So all twisted rib details, which is a pain in the butt, but it does look very nice. I did not do any of the tubular bind off because you do cast on for the collar first, and it's just a regular like long tail cast on. So I'm like, you know what? And to save time, I'm just gonna do a bind off in pattern and call it good. So it's not as stretchy as it could be, but it's stretchy enough to be comfortable. So yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. This is my first well, it's not my first green sweater, but I've been wanting a dark green sweater for a really long time, so now I finally have it. What I would embroider, I do want embroidery on the sweater, but I'm not entirely sure what I would do. For right now, the little shamrocks are super, super cute. But yes, this is my only finish. How many days did it take me? It was pretty quick, honestly. I started this, let's see here. The coffee run sweater, I started it in October. Nope. I started it in November of 2025 and I finished it in March, and it looks like it took me a total of 25 days. So that's not bad. If I can focus, I can usually do a sweater within 30 days. I get distracted and I want to knit all the things. So things take a little bit longer than that sometimes. And that's actual physical knitting days, not just days on needle, that's actually putting a stitch into the project. So that is what I finished. Now I have a couple of whips, and then I have a couple of new starts and a couple of sewing projects. There. Okay, so let's move on. I have my whips. What is that? Okay, that's that. Okie dokie. So after I finished the coffee run sweater, I thought it'd be great if I could focus on another one, take it to work and have this be kind of my focus piece to get finished. This one's taking a million years. So this is the Ciro sweater by Moreca Knits. Sorry, brain freeze. And this is what I have so far. So where the dino is, that was roughly where I was the last time I showed you, and I've only gotten that far. And this is nowhere close to being done still. So I think I'm just about ready to split for the front and back ribbing pieces. So there's a total of 6 more inches I need to do in ribbing. Thank God it's not twisted rib, but it is ribbing on a 3mm needle or a US 2.5 5. So it's quite small. It is 2 strands of fingering plus a mohair, but my fingering is Homespun Super Soft in this brown color. I think it's called Coffee, actually. And then I'm holding it with a, is it a Drops? I think it's a Drops Kid Silk in a brown color. So I'm just winding it up into little cakes together so I don't have to worry about yarn management. But yes, I have 6 more inches of that plus 2 full sleeves to do. This is just taking me forever because it's of such a small gauge, so it doesn't feel like it's growing ever. But this was what I was focusing on for a while. I think I've decided to change tactics, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But yes, so not much. This is just where I'm at. Oop, I keep dropping my ball of yarn. I need to measure what I have so far and then, like I said, split the ribbing because it has a split hem, a pretty long one. And so yeah, slow going. So the other one that I was kind of hoping to focus on, I guess, after I switched gears and tactics was the Andrea knits the DRK Everyday Cardi. I think she's hosting a knit along right now, the March to May one, and this cardigan qualifies, so I thought that could be a great motivator. But you know, right around the time that I decided to switch to this is when I started to experience hand pain. I don't think it's this. I will show you what I think it is, but I could not work on this as much as I wanted to, so didn't get a lot more done. I mean, I feel like it's a bit, and I have proof that it's a little bit, but again, it's one of those small gauge projects that is taking a million years. Yes, I'm in the middle of the row, but that's okay because it's cardigan. And look at how see-through that is. That's okay. I really want this to be done because this is like the perfect blue for a lot of things that I wear. This would be great to pair with so many things that I have. So I need to get this done. I started this a million years ago too. When did I start this? It was in 2025. I think it was August. Nope, not August. Wait. Yes, it was August. I started August 10th. And I'm still going. Again, it's a small gauge. It's not something I'm terribly familiar with. Not like I'm trying to do big chunky gauge ones, but a lot of the sweaters lately have been DK weight. So anyways, you start with this giant ribbed section. It's like 6 inches of ribbing. I love how you can see that. It will be folded over when finished, but you start with that. That took me a million years, and then it's a raglan as well. So where I was the last time I showed you, which was a while ago actually, this is how much I've gotten done, and I can't say that happened just in the last few days because it looks like I only knit on it 4 times in March, but it could have, for all I know. I don't know, it's back and forth. It is a bigger needle than the other one. It's a 3.75 millimeter or a US 5, but it's 1 strand of Homespun Super Soft in the, is this Sapphire? Yep, Sapphire colorway. So it's very thin, a thin fingering weight. It does block out well to match gauge. Like I hit gauge. So it's just forever and ever to knit the body and then sleeves, but I would really love to get this done because, like I said, I have a lot of pieces in my wardrobe that would go really well with this. So that's why I was like, I started bringing it to work with me to be as more of a focus piece, because then that way the body will get done a little bit quicker. But yeah, these are some of those lingering whips that need to be finished. I think that I have, oh no, I have 2 other whips from last year. I mean, I have more whips than that, but 2 other ones, but I haven't worked on them at all. So they're kind of in hibernation right now. Just trying to get things done. Okay, and now now I've started things. I think I was talking about this last episode because I remember showing yarn and things, and you know, we rolled the dice and we picked the project kind of thing. So I want to show you what I have started. So I think what I decided I was going to do was start the Haraboji cardigan by Aegyo Knits using Lion Brand's Fisherman's Wool in the natural Acru colorway, which I did, as you can see. Look, this is still the first skein, which is so nice. And this is what we have. This is what I think hurt my hand. So when I started this back at the beginning of March, yep, I think I actually I started it on the very last day of February, but this was technically like starting this in March. I started it and barely worked on it in the beginning because it was a bit intense. So ribbing was okay, and then I got into the textured section, and doing these cross cables at first was a little intense. And then the cable, I actually have to use a cable needle because it is a pretty big cable. Normally I just cable without one, and I just hold the stitches in my hand as I'm knitting the other ones, and then I can put the other ones back on the needle kind of thing. But this one was a little bit too big, and it was really tight. Anyways, so there was a lot of tension in here. And then, so I only did probably like up to this pink, maybe up to that pink one before I was like, I'm going to take a break because this is really difficult. Not in any sense. It was just mentally it was difficult. I was not prepared for that. So I left it for most of the mid-month. Let's see here. Yeah, the middle of the month. Yeah, because you know what? I was still working on the coffee run sweater. So I put this down and then focused hardcore on the coffee run sweater. And then I picked this back up just last weekend, and from like the pink one all the way down, I just went crazy. Like one night was like to here. It was quite a bit. And it is increasing, so it's getting bigger and bigger. So this is the sleeve. You work across, all the way across. So I did quite a bit. And then I started feeling the pain. And I think this is what did it, because there was like 1 or 2 evenings where I'm working on this and I'm just like, why am I holding this so tight? Like, what am I doing? So I think this was the culprit. Again, this is not a difficult pattern to, like, the texture isn't difficult. It's just, these are 1/1 cables. These are 5/5. And then it's just seed stitch on the inner arm. So yeah, this is the sleeve. It'll look like this. I'm hoping the sleeves are in this area. We'll see. I know this yarn does grow decently with texture because I have another sweater with using this yarn and it grew beautifully. But this is where I'm at. I also do not, or hope it does not block like this, because the picture in the pattern, hers are super wide like this, and so I'm going to make sure not to stretch them when I block it. But I do think this is crazy how absolutely huge, because here's my wrist right here. Look at how, I think there's enough stitches even in the, or probably right in this area, that I could fit my head. I was like, that's a hat amount of stitches. But yeah, it just, so I am done with the increases on the sleeve, and I'm just doing a little bit more to meet a length that is required. And then from there, I start doing, I don't know what. There's going to be some of the seed stitch on top of this panel, because this panel actually goes across like this. So I'm not sure if I'm increasing this way, because it's saying to cast on a certain amount of stitches, but I'm like, that is not enough for a body to go down this way. So I don't really understand the way the pattern is written. I'll understand it more once I'm adding, doing what it tells me to do. But yeah, this is what I got so far. I would like to keep going on this, but I think I might have to be very gentle with myself doing this run. But yeah, I started that. And then because when I was filming last time and I rolled the dice and it got me a different pattern, I kind of felt bad that I was like, oh, but I don't want to do that one. And so guess what? The very next day I started it. I did not get very far because this is also a very tiny gauge, but this is the Guernsey Genser by Sandnes Garn. I am doing the, oh gosh, on my Ravelry it says which one I'm doing because there's multiple gauge versions of this pattern. So I think the original one is a DK or a worsted weight. I think maybe it's a worsted weight version because there's also a DK weight one, which is a fingering plus a mohair. And then there's the one that's just fingering weight. So I'm doing the number 13 Guernsey Genser, which is just a fingering weight gauge. I really like the idea of it being really lightweight and thin because it's all over textured pattern as well. And so I really, really like that idea. So I decided to start it. I'm like, might as well. I want the sweater. Why not start it? So that's my mentality when things, you put off starting, you put off starting, you put off starting. And you're like, you're never going to have it if you don't start it. So I did. I did change the color of what I was originally going to knit it. I'll show you what I have in a minute. So my original thought was that I was going to knit it in this beautiful blue by Garn. It's a super soft base. It is the Mariner color. Absolutely love it. It's beautiful. This was my original idea. But then in between that original idea and starting it, which was probably a year or two, I ordered other yarns by Garn, and I was like, ooh, that would make a really beautiful Guernsey Genser. And that was this cobalt blue. Also the super soft base by Garn. I was like, ooh, this would make a really lovely one. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. And then I was like looking at my Garn. I have a Garn shelf at the top, all the different cones that I have. And I'm like, well, what about this one? It is black, but this is actually Garn Coast, which is 55% wool, 45% cotton. And it's just so soft. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe we'll make my sweater out of this. That way it'll be a great summer sweater, winter sweater, all year long sweater. And so I was like, oh, my brain was like torn between. And I was like, because I have a swatch of it in this color, but I'm just like, I really like the way this feels. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and make it in this. I wasn't going to order a new cone just to make this sweater. I have all these cones. So let me get this untangled for you. And this is what I have. This is seed stitch. I know you can't tell, but it is all seed stitch. I have to do 3-ish inches. I'm not entirely sure. I have not looked at the pattern in a while. I just know that I need around the 3-inch mark. I know this is nowhere close, so I'm not worried about looking it up and knowing the exact because I'm nowhere close. And it's on a 3mm needle, a US 2.5. So teeny weeny itty bitty. I did not mark the right side, so I was like, oh, I should probably do that. So now I can use this as an actual right side marker and a progress keeper to show you and myself how much I actually knit on this thing. So this one has not gotten a lot of love, just enough to cast on and start working. So this will be the back panel. I need to do a bit, and then your typical, you'll pick up, knit over the shoulders, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, let me get this wrapped up because this is just getting a little chaotic here. Okay. So yeah, I felt bad when I said I wasn't going to, and I'm like, I might as well. There's nothing wrong with it. So I did that, worked on it. Let's see. Genser, worked on it. Yeah, 4 days this past month. Like, whatever. And then closer to the end of the month, I started something new. I've been wanting to make this one for a while as well, and then I had so many hang-ups about this said pattern and my gauge and the yarn I wanted to use. So I just said, screw it. I'm going to start it. So this looks funny because I have my needle sticking out, but I am making the vintage flannel from the Strands of Joy Volume 2 book by Johanna. I bought this book specifically for this pattern. Oopsies, just dropped the needles. I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. So it looks like that. Really love it. And then there's a little surprise on the back. Let's see. Where is the picture? It says pearl on the back on the bottom. I just love it. Well, the only issue I was having was the yarn I want to use and the gauge of the pattern just wasn't working. So the pattern called for you know what, I should probably just look it up because it's been a hot minute since I looked at all this stuff. So the pattern calls for a 21 stitch gauge, 21 stitches per 4 inches, using a sport weight yarn. The yarn that they used was the Farmer's Daughter Fibers Reminiscent Sport and Spin Cycle Yarns Nocturne. So yeah, you know, it says sport. I know Spin Cycle, I only bought Spin Cycle one time, but isn't this like, yeah, sport weight. It's considered sport weight. And so to me, I'm just like, oh, I've knit sport weight gauges using fingering. Like I can usually hit it. Granted, that's with Andrea Mowry's patterns. I can usually hit her sport weight gauge using a fingering, specifically Holst Garn. Anyway, so I was like, cool. I will just try fingering because I have this one. Well, I have 2 skeins of this yarn that I absolutely love. Sorry. So I have 2 skeins of this that I got in a kit a while ago for the Birds of a Feather shawl by Andrea Mowry, but I am not a shawl wearer, so I'm like, I need to stop making shawls. So I have 2 skeins of this. It's Hedgehog Fibers, skinny singles. So definitely a skinny single, you know, a fingering weight yarn. And this is the Dune colorway. And I just thought it was beautiful. And I was like, oh, I'll just hold that, you know, I'll use the background color will just be an undyed sock weight yarn and it'll be lovely. Well, I tried a long time ago to knit a gauge and I was way off, like 28 stitches per 4 inches. I'm like, that's really sucky. Okay. So I tried holding it double and knitting it. I'm like, okay, maybe I need to do DK weight gauge. I think I was getting 24 stitches per 4 inches on the called for needle, which I think is a, what is this, a US 6? 4 millimeter? Yep, 4 millimeter US 6. I was getting 24 stitches. But I didn't like the fabric because it felt dense. So I'm just like, if I went up to a worsted weight gauge, that would feel even more dense. And I don't want to go up a needle size on top of that. So I was just like, I put it off. I was like, okay, this is really disheartening. I don't know what to do. One evening last month, I was thinking, I'm like, what if I just tried with Holst Garn? and some Zauberball Crazy that I have. Like I have 3 skeins of this one color that is absolutely beautiful that I can't think of what to use it for. What if I use Holst Garn and, you know, maybe I'll hit gauge once I block it. I don't know. Let me see. Well, I did a real fancy gauge swatch, like doing my best, and guess what? It's still 28 stitches per 4 inches. So I have absolutely no clue what the designer did. Do they just knit that loosely? Or is reminiscent of sport, like, oh, not a sport weight? Because I don't know. I've never touched that yarn, never seen it in person. So I don't know if it's exactly a sport weight, like a true sport weight, or if it's like one of the thicker sport weights that's technically not a sport weight. I don't know. What the heck? So I was like, what do I do? So I did some math and I decided I will just figure out what size I need to make to get about the size that I would make if it was on gauge. And it looks like I got to make the 44-inch bust, which was 37 plus 7 inches, because 7 inches positive ease. I mean, it's supposed to be 7.75, so technically 8. I'm just doing 7. It says I would need to make the 2XL. So that is what I'm doing. I am knitting the 2XL size to get a medium 2, because there's a medium 1 and a medium 2. And I'm hoping for the best. I decided to go with my original plan, which I'm going to show you using the hedgehog fibers, because I'm like, screw it. I might as well. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to at least do the yoke and see what happens. So even though sometimes I feel like I should have done this one, just because I don't know why. I knew I'd have enough yarn in this, opposed to having the 2 skeins of this. I don't know. But this was a nice backup. It was really pretty. But let me show you what I have so far. This is what I have. Isn't it lovely? It is so pretty. I love this color. Look at this silly stitch that kind of got wonky. But I really like that color. It's just soft. So obviously I'm not very far. I wanted to block it because my color work was looking a little janky at one point. And I just wanted to make sure I wasn't wasting my time. So I stopped at this point and put it on some try-on tubing. And then I blocked it. And I haven't put it back on a needle yet because, again, my hand hurt. Why even bother knitting? So I need to put the needle back on and keep going. I think I want to get, like I said, get to at least the sleeve split and see, because I know with me changing the size, the depth might, depending on my gauge, you know, because I don't ever check row gauge. I really don't. I just go off of stitch gauge. With me making a 2XL size, which this is already looking too small as it is. Yeah, I only want to get a bit of the yoke done, like maybe to right under the armpits, you know, gauge if I need to shorten or lengthen that. But yeah, I'm a little nervous. Like, these are my shoulders right here. I'm a little scared. I did skip the collar. So the collar was supposed to be done first, but I'm like, why waste my time making the collar if I'm going to end up ripping this out due to gauge issues? But I am scared, like, that this isn't going to work out. I don't know. So I did start this as well. Just for some funsies. It's also a raglan. A beautiful little color work flannel. So we will see. I'm crazy. So yeah, just an undyed sock yarn and the first skein of Dune. I'm crazy. All right, so when my hand started hurting, I absolutely was so upset that I couldn't really do anything. Like, I even tried crocheting and crocheting did not work. Still aggravated the same spot. So I'm like, is this arthritis? What is going on? So I had to physically like take a full 2 days off of doing nothing. But I was like, I have to do something. I don't just sit. I have to be doing something with my hands. So I had started spinning a fiber, actually probably 2 months ago now. I had half of my braid finished, and this is what it looked like. I don't know what I did with the tag, so I can't really tell you. Wait, is this it? Haha! I found it. I was wondering where this was. I got this for Mother's Day, gosh, a few years ago. My husband took me up north to Fort Collins and Longmont, Loveland area in Colorado, and we visited a couple of yarn stores. And this was the Longmont yarn store. And so I decided to grab this. It's a locally dyed fiber. It is by the Hummingbird Moon. This was called I Put a Spell on You. It is 85% Polworth, 15% Tussa Silk, 4 ounces or 113 grams. I bought it, like I said, a long time ago, and I was like, well, might as well spin it. So I had half the braid spun, and I decided the other day, because I couldn't do anything else, that I would just spin up the other half. So I did this 3 nights ago, and I've been meaning to ply it together, but every night since has been busy. So maybe I'll do it tonight. I don't know. But I'm excited. I haven't spun a whole braid of yarn in a while, and the last one I did a really bad job. Like, I'm not pleased with it whatsoever. It was a really difficult braid to spin up. It was 100% merino, and I'm pretty sad that it just doesn't look that great. It's such a beautiful colorway. It's just, I did not take care to make sure it was like nice and even and skinny, and so this is kind of nice. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm hoping it turns out really nice. What I'll use it for, who knows? I have a whole bunch right up here of hand spun yarn that I've done years ago, and I have no clue what I'm going to use it for. Like, I have 4 skeins up here that would be beautiful in a, oh, it's a shawl by Andrea Mowry. Is a brioche. I forgot what it's called, but you use like 3 or 4 colors, and they'd be beautiful in that. But again, I'm not going to make shawls. I'm not. I just gave away almost all my shawls to coworkers because I don't wear them. So, anyways, off topic, but I want to apply these together and have it on my wall to look at. Beautiful. What else? Okay, and then sewing. So if you watched my video from mid-month, my block of the month, I finished that. The box. Oops. So, just a quick refresh. I am part of the Homespun Collective Block of the Month by Lo and Behold Stitchery. I was able to get month 2 finished during my spring break. It took me like 4 or 5 days. I think it was like 5 days, honestly. What is this? That's month 1. Month 2. I need to put these in there so I don't lose them. Alright, month 2 was Sawtooth Stars. 3 different versions. And it was a lot of work. I had some issues with my measuring, unfortunately. So I don't have enough fabric to do the mystery block, but honestly, I don't think I will do the mystery block. So one easy part was just cutting a couple strips. That was easy. But then I had to make 4 of these beautiful guys. I had to make 4 of, these ones. So here's the difference between the 2. And then I had to make 4 of these ones. So these are going to go along the side of the quilt when it's all pieced together, but these are beautiful. I absolutely love Sawtooth Stars. They're pretty much my favorite looking block in all of quilting. I like these. They're my favorite. Not my favorite to put together. These were kind of a pain in the butt. I had to make so many flying geese, but I was able to do a really nice assembly line style with these, so I was able to get them done decently quickly. by the end. Again, it took me several days. I was just like, bleh. And you know what's crazy though, is that it really made me want to sew some more, even though this took so long, that I started a dress. I actually got the pattern for this probably in the fall and just did not want to do it at that point in time. So I was like, put it off. And then during spring break, I was like, I think I want to make that because it was warm. It was like 80 degrees here for most of the days. And I was just like, oh, I want dresses, all the dresses. And I'm like, I have this pattern that I wanted to make. And I had a fabric that I wanted to use for it. This was not the fabric. I ended up changing my mind. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think I do want to still make this dress in the original fabric that I picked. But that's for another day. Anyways, this is called the Teddy Dress by My Keeper. I think that's what it's called. The designer, My Keeper. Everything will be linked down below. But this dress has lace, lacing up the side. It'll have it on the other side as well. And you can have a high neck, kind of like what you see here, or more of a scoop neck. There's a zipper down the back. It's a full-length dress. It's really, really nice. As you can see, maybe you can see, I'm not finished with it. All I have left is the neck and the armholes and to hem the skirt part. Because they have you making, thank goodness they have you making the straps first. This was a pain in the bum hole to make. But I did get them done. They have you make this first, so. Anyway, so I'm making the dress, and the pattern isn't very hand-holdy, which is okay, but I wish it was a little bit more explanatory about some things, because I didn't realize that I needed bias binding for the arms and the neck hole. And by the time I got there, I was like, oh, well, I don't have enough fabric. I mean, that was another issue, is I just used fabric that I had on hand. I didn't have the full amount that I was supposed to need, I guess, because she doesn't show in the pictures. Like, she shows you how to use the pattern, or how to cut out the pattern pieces on the fabric, but she doesn't show the part where you should have more to do bias binding. Because I think in the pattern it recommends you buy pre-made bias binding, but I was like, so what I did was I took whatever scraps I had left of the fabric, and I just cut strips and made my own binding. But because it's not on the biased, it sticks straight up. Like, it doesn't like lay nice and flat like this. It like goes like that, and it actually looks more ridiculous than it should. Like, I even like soaked the neckline after I sewed it on and hung it to dry, and it still just kind of stands up weird, and I'm so upset about it. So I didn't even bother to do the armholes yet. So what I did, unfortunately the fabric that I used is a Joanne fabric, which obviously no longer exists, so I can't get this fabric. It's this pretty green linen like fabric. So I was like trying to hemming and hawing about what to do. Like, I can buy pre-made bias binding, but I don't think I can get a very good color match. So I ended up going on Etsy, and I think, if I can remember right, I think it's going to be a light cream color with bluish green polka dots on it. I think that's what it is. And I'm going to use that around the neck and the armholes. And I think I bought enough so that I could replace those side straps with that as well, so at least it coordinates. But that wasn't what I wanted, and it makes me very sad. But I still want the dress, and that's why I'm thinking like maybe the OG fabric that I was going to use, which again, I don't know if it's enough, but the way that fabric looks, I know I could easily buy some pre-made bias binding in like a butter yellow, and it'll go really well with it, and it won't look out of place. So I might have to. Anyway, so that was my sewing adventures this past, I guess it was just last week. Yeah. What else? I've been reading a lot. I've been reading a lot of ARCs. Those are advanced reader copies of books. I read Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I found that absolutely amazing. So now I'm obsessed and I want every book. I have the first 2 now. So I borrowed the Dungeon Crawler Carl from the library. Borrowed it actually several months ago and just never got to it. And so it went back to the library, and then I decided to just try again. And it came through, and I'm like, okay, I might as well give this some time. And I started it during spring break and finished it during spring break. So I only have 1 week for spring break, but I was able to get it done. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing. So the weekend, last weekend, my husband decided we were going to go out and spend some time out and about. So we went to this one store I hadn't been to yet in town that a lot of people recommend. And it's like a bookstore, a cafe, and a toy store all in one. I guess it sounds like Barnes & Noble, but it's not. It's, I think it's only local. It's beautiful because the book, all right, I was under the impression that it was like a used, store, like a used bookstore kind of thing, like thrifted and all that stuff. That's what it is, kind of, but not really. So I believe with the books, there's brand new and there are possibly used, because I bought other books as well, and one of them was full price and the other one was discounted, but it looked brand new as well. I don't know. Either way, we went in there, absolutely fell in love with the place, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I go and I find the fantasy section, and I was like, ah. So I grabbed 2 books that I needed to finish a series, and then they had all the Dungeon Crawler Carl books. The only problem is that the first book, they only had the paperback, and then the rest of them were all hardcover. And I'm like, I'm not mixing up the thing. If I'm going to get this series, I'm going to get all hardcover. So I just grabbed book 2. I just bought book 2 because I was like, I've already read book 1. I can get book 1 on Amazon if I need to. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So I got that. And then we left there, and we're driving back home, and my husband decides to take a detour to Barnes & Noble. My husband doesn't read, so there's no need for him to go there. And I didn't ask him because I'm like, he already spent this money on me at this one bookstore, so I didn't ask. He just made a detour, and I was very happy. So we went into Barnes & Noble, and they happen to have the first Dungeon Crawler Carl book in hardcover. So I was like, well, I guess I'm getting this. And so I only have book 1 and book 2 so far, but I need to get the rest. And then I also got Red Rising by Pierce Brown, I think. I don't know, it was funny. I was looking at it because they had a whole wall display of all the books in the Red Rising series. And obviously I've heard many, many people talk about it, that it's amazing, that it'll kill you, like it'll just break your heart or something like that. Just people were like, okay. And I'm looking at it, and I grab the first one, and I'm holding it in my hand, and all I hear is, do it. This man is walking past me, and he's like, do it, buy it. And then he's like talking to us. He's like, no, this is really good. He's like, my wife doesn't read, but I read this, and then I was like, I had to have her read it, and then she's now obsessed. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just grab this and have it on my shelf. So I think I got 2, 4, 5 books that day, and I have a stack. I'll show you a picture of it, and I'm like, these are all boy books. I'm not leaving my romantasy genre, blah blah blah, but definitely starting to dip more into boy books. Is what I would consider them, because they're not romance in any way. They're definitely, Dungeon Crawler Carl is definitely a action-packed, just main character's a male who's just, it's, if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read it and you don't mind action and you don't mind a little bit of gamer talk, like RPGers and, right? RPGs? NPCs, new achievements unlocked, if you don't mind gamer speak and having to do battles, it is fantastic. Anyways, so that's what I'm into. I also read The House in the Cerulean Sea recently, and I absolutely fell in love with that. I did the audiobook, which I think was a really, really great choice. Borrowed that from the library, and I thought it was just the cutest thing. I do believe it is young adult, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure I talked about this in my quilting video, but it was a good one. So far this year, gosh, how many books have I read? I'm not entirely sure of how many, but I do know that I have 3 5-stars already this year. Project Hail Mary, The House in the Cerulean Sea, and Dungeon Crawler Carl. And they're all like not romantasy books. Maybe I'm starting to get a little sick of them. I don't know. Maybe they're almost all the same. Again, who knows? I do feel like they are very familiar. I feel like sometimes when I'm reading romantasy, at least a couple of the arcs that I've read recently, I feel a little bit of deja vu with some of them. Or I can like take a bit of that book and be like, I feel like that was pulled a little bit of inspiration from this book or whatnot. So, but yes, I do read a lot. I just don't talk about it a lot. It's just, but you can follow me on Goodreads or Fable. I'll put those links down below if I haven't already, if you are interested. Other than that, oh, that's right. So for spring break, I was supposed to go to Iowa to visit my husband's family, but we had to change plans. My cat tore her Achilles tendon right before spring break happened, like the week before spring break for us. Yeah, she got startled in the house. Like one day we had all the windows open because it was beautiful out, and the cross breeze ended up slamming one of the doors shut. The door didn't hit her physically, but it scared her because she's a skittish cat, and she took off running. So she's a tripod. She does not have her left leg, her front left leg. So she likes to sprint everywhere, but it scared her enough that she sprinted so hard and turned that she snapped the tendon. We thought she had broken her leg at first. My husband took her to the vet the next day, and they took x-rays, but they were like, it's not broken, but maybe she tore her Achilles, not Achilles, but her ACL. And we're like, okay. And they're like, we're going to recommend you go to an orthopedic. So we were able to get my cat into an orthopedic 2 days later. And the orthopedic surgeon was all like, yeah, that looks like an Achilles tendon tear. And then he gave us all the options. It was surgery. So option 1 was surgery, $5,000, almost a year-long intensive recovery, and not even guaranteed to last. Or if they could even do the surgery, which in order to do that, they'd have to do a scan, and that would be an additional $5,000. So we're like, oh dear God. Second option was for them to just fuse her bones in the position that they kind of are, because she can't extend that. So from her, like, where the heel, whatever you want to call it, on her foot down to her toes, she can't extend that. So they're like, well, we would just fuse it so she'd kind of like hobble around. That one would be $6,000 to $7,000. So we're like, okay. And then the last one would be amputation, but we can't because she unfortunately tore that tendon on the same side as where she doesn't have an arm. So that poor girl has to now compensate balancing on her right side because she only has 2 good legs on her right side. And I feel so bad. Doctor said we would have had to make a choice within 4 to 5 days of this all happening. 5 to 7 days, maybe. And we're like, we can't, unfortunately. She seems to be doing okay. She is a little bit more shy in the sense of she doesn't come out as much in the day. But I think that's for other reasons, especially during spring break, because all of us were home. Because we did not go to Iowa, of course. We were going to stay home with her and make sure she was okay. But I think she doesn't come out a lot because she still comes and sleeps with us. She doesn't, she gets up in the morning and the evenings to hang out with us. But during the day, she definitely, but I think it's because all of us are home. So the house is more chaotic. So yeah, she now just, you know, she can walk on the foot, but it just doesn't extend. So she's walking on the full part of her foot. So we have to still accommodate, you know, hope she doesn't like A, start chewing on the leg, or B, like start rubbing this part raw kind of thing. Because that's the reason why she got this leg amputated when she was a baby. She came into the Humane Society with a potential broken bones because she'd walk like this instead of like this. It ended up being nerve damage and she started chewing on it. So they had to take it away from her, unfortunately. So I don't want her to start chewing on her leg because, but I don't think so. I think she can feel it. I just don't think, or she just can't actually use it. She can use it to scratch herself, which is great. She doesn't mind if we touch it. She just doesn't like if we extend her leg, which I don't blame her. So yeah, a lot has been happening. She's also 14 years old. So, you know, there's that. My other cat just turned 15. So getting closer to the end of life for them. So I'm not looking forward to that, but it is what it is, right? Alrighty. I should probably let you go. It's been an hour. I talk too much. All right. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.